DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective. Your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
Draft heads, what is going on? Welcome into the Key Pass Collective. Welcome back to the Key Pass Collective. Oh, God, it feels so good to be back. I'm Joe Williams. I'll be your host for this particular episode. Of course, for those of you, if there's any of you who are new, the audio companion to the Draft Society website, that's what this podcast is. What is the Draft Society, you ask, potentially? That is our independent fantasy football website, which has rankings, stats, articles, just all the things that you need to dominate, to excel at this draft fantasy football game. If you're willing, we do have an insider kind of benefit called the Inner Circle, where you're going to get extra goodies like player projections, weekly rest of season rankings, our fixture difficulty tracker for every position on the pitch, set piece taker trackers, personalized confidential trade advice if you want to do that through email. None of your league mates will see that. And a ghost point tracker, as well as an accompanying article, which I just got done reading right before we started this show, written by none other than the man who's joining me here today, Ryan Barnes. So Ryan, I want to talk about the ghost point or the ghost tracker article here in just a second, but of course, I need to preface that with this.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Okay, we can end it there today. I do love the extended cut, but
yeah, me too. And I knew you were going to play it, but it's still just like hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about real quick about the Ghost Point article, because I couldn't help but mention you shouted out a Spurs player in there.
Yeah. No, I took aim at an Arsenal player as well. So yeah,
you did in the Venkman.
Can't be
category.
Accused of bias. Yeah. No, it's all about ghost points. We don't care about anything else.
I like it. Yeah, for those who haven't read it, right? You have a final section in there called the Peter Venkman Award, where it's players who are scoring quote unquote well, but it's sort of a facade because there's no like ghost points behind it.
Yeah, I try to shout out a player that's usually playing pretty well, at least from a ghost point perspective, but had a really bad ghost point outing that particular week. And I kind of analyze it and determine whether or not I think it's just a one-off aberration, or if I think it's cause for concern moving forward. So yeah, it was Martinelli this week. He had a poor showing, but yeah, I don't think it's that much cause for concern, but we'll see.
Correct me if I'm wrong, he was fairly goal dependent last year, or shall I say attacking return dependent?
More than this year, yeah.
Okay.
Which I always thought was pretty odd with him, because you can tell that he just does so much more. Plus he has some set pieces. He takes right-sided corners for us. So yeah, I was always perturbed by that, but he seemed to have gotten over that this season. But yeah, he's gone off the boil a little bit. But yeah, he's still averaging, I think, almost 9 ghost points a game, which is very tasty. Oh,
that's beautiful. Yeah, and that was, better than last year for sure, I think. Okay, cool. Well, check that out.
What did you think of the article?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I felt like you actually highlighted a lot more players than you usually do. It was long this week.
Yeah, the honorable mention was enormous,
right?
Because I just kept on finding players that I wanted to talk about, so it just like kept on getting longer and longer. So yeah, it took me a little longer to write this one, but yeah, hopefully folks like it.
Should we mention real quick, because shout out to my friend Gavin once again, who reminded us that not everyone knows what ghost points are. So just quickly to kind of let you know, ghost points are those points that you can hopefully count on week to week, because they're independent of scoring stats. They're independent of your goals, your assists, and for defenders, your clean sheets. So these are the stats we're looking for really to kind of bolster our teams. So Ryan has an entire article about that. Every week we have a tracker that tracks only the ghost points, not anything else. So you can kind of see who is accumulating those underlying stats. It's kind of cool. It's one of those things that you can get if you're willing to join the inner circle.
Just one more thing about this week's article, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I usually shout out 3 main players that have a longer kind of analysis, and one of the players, and then to move back, it's one of the sections I talk about what you should do, either pick him up or he's not worth it, or try and trade him in. This is what you should probably propose in terms of a trade offer. So one of the players, I actually listed the trade offer that I made this week when I got him in. So it was interesting. Like, try this trade. It worked for me yesterday. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, cool. Well, listeners, before we get into the meat of things, thank you for your understanding in our brief hiatus that we had. We had a just unfortunate confluence of events where, I had my jury duty, which is still going on for another year. So thanks for those who are curious and asking about that. But yeah, every month, 3 days a month in a row, for the next year, I still have your jury duty. So that happened. And then I had a wedding that I actually had to officiate, which was really interesting and really fun for my brother-in-law. And it just, things got away from us, unfortunately. And it happened to be a double game week, so it was even worse timing. But we're back. We're back, and we're happy to be here. Ryan, how have you been, aside from that?
Good. My wedding is 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Hey!
So it's crunch time. It's actually going to happen. So yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, big ball of nerves and excitement.
Well, you're traveling, right?
Yeah, so it'll be November 11th in Cartagena, Colombia.
Amazing. Love that, man. Congrats. That's so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I guess we can get into the reason why people are here. Although, to be honest, listeners, we've talked fantasy already, and that's way sooner than we normally do. So, I mean, they can't be upset with us really today, right?
No. Yeah, we got straight into it.
All right, we're going to go true, false. We're going to talk last straw, just a couple of last straw candidates, and then a little bit of game week 9 prep, just a couple of streamers, and then we'll close her down. I think the emphasis probably will be on our true, false, and our last straw. Because true, false, we've got a meaty one for you all today. But yeah, here, let me go ahead and pull up the old Schwarzenegger.
Please refresh the page to hear the sounds.
Doesn't sound like Arnold.
Refresh the page to hear the sounds.
I'm absolutely leaving that in there.
Yeah.
Let's try that one more time.
Tell me the truth. You owe me that much.
All you have to do, I don't know if you heard, but you just have to refresh the page to hear the sounds. Yeah. So
no, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Can I ask what the music is after that? Because it sounds like kind of Saved by the Bell intro song jam.
It does. Well, see, the key to doing any of these things is to try to use things that are not copyrighted. And so that
nobody would copyright something like that.
So that is from the YouTube Sound Library.
Beautiful.
There you go. All right, true or false? So this is where we say something potentially mildly shocking, or a little bit out there, kind of pushing our thought process a little bit, and then asking whether or not it's true or false, and seeing if we can actually back it up with facts, stats, figures, or even just gut calls. Mine, and I kind of warned you I was going to talk about defenders today, Ryan, but mine, it has to do all with just my gut feeling that defenders suck this year. And I was worried because as I came into this, I was like, no, that's just me bitching because I'm losing lately. And I know it doesn't feel great. Obviously, everyone knows what it's like to go on a little bit of a losing streak. But I'm like, son of a bitch, I can't stream a defender this year to save my life. I just can't do it. And so I thought, is it actually harder to stream a defender this year? Is it our defenders in general, are they worse this year? Well, let me give you the info. I know you can see it, but let me just read it out for listeners. So, in 2021-22, with most nailed-on defenders having 12 games played, just like we are at right now, it would have been a different game week, obviously, because we had the Queen's funeral, but with most defenders having 12 games played, just like this season, our top 20 defenders ranged from 92 points to 202 points on the top end, and that would have been Trent, right? Last year was killing it. In 22-23, our top 20 defenders range from 74 points to 175 points. In 2021-22, we had 29 defenders at this point in the season with 80 or more points. We had 21 defenders with 90 or more points. This year, we have 17 defenders with 80 or more, and we only have 9 with 90 plus. Last year, top 10 defenders at this point in the season were averaging 12.8 points per game with a combined points of 1,412. And this year, we're sitting at a 10.2 average. That's over a 2-point drop per game. And we have an average almost 300 points less of 1,135. So my true or false is smart managers should move away from defender-heavy formations rest of season. What do you think, Ryan? Does this keep up? Is this an anomaly? Is this an aberration? Or is something different about the league this year?
Yeah, I mean, first, I think it's true. And it's funny that you put this as a true or false because on a micro level, just from my own teams, I've found myself rolling out 3 defender formations, at least in the last month or so. Just like you said, from frustration of trying to stream defenders. And you know me, I was I think the originator of the 5 at the back formation. Like I do not fear throwing out a ton of defenders in a given game week.
No, you were preaching that last year.
Yeah, 100%. But this season, I've just been, like you said, so frustrated with the defenders I've been trying to field. I mean, I thought I had a decent set and forget defenders with Liam Cooper and Joakim Anderson, and not meant to be. And then I'm usually very good at streaming defenders. It's kind of my jam, but I think it's so hard to predict clean sheets even this year. And I'd be curious as to the underlying reason behind this disparity between defenders this year and the last campaign.
Right.
And I wonder if it's, there's just less clean sheets this season, and that's just pulling down defenders that aren't ghosting, or if there's just something else at play. But yeah, I think it is smart to move away from more than 3 defender sets, unless obviously you have one of those few unicorns that you mentioned earlier. But yeah, I actually made it a point to trade in 2 good defenders this week, just because I was getting so frustrated with my lack of options there. So I was able to trade in Trent and Fabian Schär, who is the 3rd highest defender this season.
Hilarious.
With ghost points rivaling João Cancelo per game. So
incredible. Yeah,
something's in the water.
Exactly, and that should tell you all you need to know right there. You have Fabian Schär as the number 3 overall. Yeah, it's just wild, and a lot of those names that you're expecting to find up there, defenders from Chelsea, defenders from Liverpool, you just don't see them in the top 10. I guess Trent barely breaks it at number 10.
Yeah, he's been horrible. I mean, you take away that Bournemouth 9-0. In which I faced him, of course. He's very, very bad. But yeah. I think he's going to turn it around because his key passes and underlying stats are still there, and I think they turned it around. So yeah, that's why I was happy to get him in on a low. But I just got so frustrated that I just had to bring in some defenders that I just wouldn't have to worry about throwing out week to week.
So let's talk through this real quick. Okay, so last year, your argument, right, for streaming defenders, all right, you can hopefully find a guy who's going to ghost you 5 to 6 to 7, something maybe like between 4 and 8, right? And even if they concede 1 or 2, you're hopefully still going to have that baseline. But then there's the chance of the clean sheet. Well, this year, the clean sheet seems all but gone. And teams are... It seems to me, at least, when I try to stream a defender, they just go ahead and let in 3 to 4 to 5 goals. So goals conceded seem to be higher, or at least seem to be more concentrated, maybe. So all of this to say, your other options are your midfielders who, like, chance their way into 5 points. Like, is that a better option this year? Like your Douglas Luizes and your, the guys I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I don't think. If pressed, I'd still rather take a shot on a decent defender in a decent matchup than a pure CDM play like a Partey or a Onana or Doucouré for Palace. I'd still rather do that, but I think that there are better midfield option streamers week to week that you can find on the wire than trying to trot out defenders this year.
Yeah. Like the interesting thing to me is, if you go and look in your leagues, there are defenders in the top 20 who are available on the waiver wire just because like they haven't been consistent at all. Nobody actually wants to hold them. And so these are top 20 defenders, but they're streamers.
Yeah, I dropped Dan Burn this week, and he's got the same amount of points as Virgil van Dijk. Like, he's the 13th rated defender, and I'm frustrated with him, so I dropped him. Right.
I dropped Kurt Zuma this week because I know what he did to you. I don't want to bring it up,
but you did.
But if you look at his other scores, right? Like in previous weeks against Fulham, 1.25, Liverpool 0.5, and yeah, sure, he had a goal and had a great game against Bournemouth. But come on, So I dropped him. Guys like Gabriel Magalhaes, even Eric Dyer, Nico Williams is 17 overall, and he was on every waiver wire like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I dropped him a couple weeks ago too.
Right. Yeah, so it's just interesting. It's such a strange year as far as defenders go. I feel like clean sheets are really hard to predict. Even if you go and look at clean sheet or betting numbers, it just like so often it is not even close. So it's a weird one, man. Are you changing your strategy at all based upon this, or are you pretty much?
Yeah, no, I said, I've gone to 3 at the back in both of my leagues, barring, being able to get a defensive streamer that I'm confident in, and that has rarely happened. So until otherwise, or unless something happens, I'm rolling out 3 at the back.
All right. Well, speaking of defensive streamers, I suppose, if that's what these guys truly are, give us your first true false.
All right. So, a good segue from that defender conversation. Let's continue it.
Yep.
So, true or false, there are no set and forget defenders on Arsenal or Spurs.
100%. I agree with this. I could not agree with this more.
Yeah. I think they're all, at the end of the day, streamers. If the Tottenham wingbacks actually were able to nail down their spots, they might have a shot. Of their defenders, I probably like Ben Davies the most. Romero is hit or miss. I don't mind rostering him, but I also don't mind missing out on him. And then with Arsenal, it's the fullbacks rotate and they don't get enough ghost points, and the center backs are really spotty, and they haven't been getting really any clean sheets. Rostering Ramsdale this season has been a nightmare because their defense is good enough for them to not give up that many attacks or shots, but they always somehow just leak a goal. And so, yeah, the stats just don't offset the lack of clean sheets, and it's just been a nightmare. And yeah, Spurs haven't really kept many clean sheets either. So yeah, I think it's true too. I don't want to really roster any of their defenders other than, streaming them in good matchups, but definitely not set and forget.
Ironically, I guess this year, Arsenal center backs are pretty similar to like Liverpool center backs. I mean,
yeah, or even Cities for that matter.
Sure. I mean, we knew that about Cities, right?
Yeah,
we knew that. Like we've always talked about City in that way, where people talk about City defenders, and it's like, well, I hope you mean Cancelo, and they're like, no, I'm gonna trot out Kyle Walker, and it's like, okay, go with God, like best of luck to you.
Yeah, it's the age old problem of not having enough activity, thinking you're going to get a clean sheet and then not getting one. So it's just the worst of both worlds.
But I mean, honestly, given the defender situation we just talked about, Gabriel Magalhaes being 98% rostered, with a 7.55 fantasy points per game, like, is he somebody worth holding? We just talked about the numbers, right? And I mean, yeah, he's got his games of, 0.25 and, -3 against United. But hell, he gets 19 against Leeds. He gets you 10.25 with a clean sheet against Brentford. I don't know. Maybe not. Never mind. I'm talking myself out of it.
Yeah, I don't think he is personally. I mean, if he's fit, would I field him against Forest at home? Yeah, you gotta think that or hope to God that we get a clean sheet there. But yeah, if I need to drop him, will I? Absolutely.
Should we mention that real quick? Didn't he go off today?
Yeah, he limped off to the dressing room in the Europa League today. So there's a concern that he might not make it this weekend. And obviously, since Arsenal's one of the last games this game week, you definitely should have cover, unless we hear otherwise. But yeah, he's going to be a doubt.
Yeah, and therein lies the problem, because I've picked up Tierney in my leagues now, and I'm like, I don't really have any cover, so I can't catch 22.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I think Tierney's going to go, but yeah, you can't be totally sure anymore. It seems like Arteta just doesn't like wheeling out Tierney, at least in the Prem this season. So my guess, if Magalhaes is out, is that Saliba stays as obviously the right center back, and then Ben White slots in from right back to center back, and then you have your natural fullbacks back in there, Tommy on right back and Tierney at left back, unless Ciny's back, which it doesn't seem like he is. So that would be my guess, but yeah, you never. I haven't heard anything further about the Gabriel injury, so yeah, it's too early to tell, but certainly have some cover for that one.
Now, Gabriel being the number 12 overall defender and Ben White being the number 15 overall defender, and the state of defense this season, obviously, which we've just talked about at length, that doesn't change your answer at all to whether or not they're set and forget?
No.
Okay, it just makes you more prone to then try to just play the streaming game.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I mean, obviously this week, any Arsenal defender.
No,
you're trotting them out.
Yeah, 100%.
But okay. Yeah. So I mean, I'm in agreement, and I'm equally as frustrated probably as anybody who rosters any defenders from either of these teams.
Not a good year for defenders, Scott.
No. Speaking of, you want to hit us with
one
your
more?
Next one?
Yeah, sticking with the theme, beating this defensive horse to death.
Yes.
This is actually from Genie, as a matter of fact.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, his true or false is Trent and Robbo won't be top 10 defenders. What say you?
I disagree. Trent will.
Tell me about it.
Trent will. He had a dip in form. Trust me, I played against Ari, our good friend Ari. Which Ari, we're gonna come visit you in Iceland. You better host us and brew some beer for us, especially because you beat me this week. Anyway,
I don't think that has anything to do with it, but yes.
Well,
we're coming.
Ari played Trent from the bench this week, and
never mind. Yeah,
I thought it was a ballsy ass move, but he did it anyway.
Negligence.
Trent came on and bossed. He was good. 7 points in 27 minutes. Didn't actually have any sort of attacking returns whatsoever, obviously, because Liverpool lost that match. But he looked great, and I think he's either had or Klopp is going to make sure that he gets the wake up call that he needs. And I'm pretty confident in him going forward, honestly.
I 100% agree. That's why I traded him in this week on a low. He's already at 10, if I'm not mistaken. So, and this is rock bottom value right now. So he's a 10.
Oh, 10 overall. Yeah,
defender.
He is. Yep.
Oh, I'm trying to remember if it's top 10 defenders, not top 10 overall point scorers. So yeah, Trent's already 10. So yeah, he's only going to go from strength to strength from here on out. So yeah, he absolutely will. Robertson, I'm like you. I'm not so sure.
No.
It would require Liverpool to really start clocking those clean sheets that they did last season, because he has some real rotation with Tsimikas, and he just hasn't been that great, to be honest. And he's had some knocks. So I'm very confident about Trent saying top 10, but yeah, Robertson, he might be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I don't need to repeat any of that because I agree with everything you just said. And honestly, I think the Robbo and Tsimikas rotation is more real than people want to admit. I think Tsimikas has played himself into a role where he's going to get he deserves more time. And I think that honestly, at this point, Klopp is more than willing to rest Robertson for a couple matches here and there, and I think we're going to see it quite often. Yeah,
no, I agree. Which leads me to ask this question: do you think that Tsimikas is rosterable for the foreseeable future? Like in both my leagues, people have picked him up and then dropped him. I think he's on the wire in both my leagues right now. Do you think it's worth it to roster him full time?
No.
Yeah, I agree. It's roster spot is so much more valuable than once every 3 weeks defender. And maybe last year when he was, guaranteed every start to get at least like 15 points, this year it's like every Liverpool defender is behind the 8 ball. So,
exactly. I mean, he's had several like negative returns, unfortunately, right? Like, so, I mean, he's been called upon either through injury or through rotation to kind of like come in and deputize for Robertson. And he had a couple decent matches. The one against Everton was great. West Ham was great, even though, you could say we got pretty damn lucky to get out of there with a clean sheet. But yeah, I mean, against Arsenal, he scored negative points. Against Brighton, he scored negative points. So yeah, he's a streamer.
Oh, okay.
That's all there is to it.
All right, no more defenders. Moving on from
sweet.
Defenders. This is mine. True or false? It's time to buy into Aston Villa.
Yeah. I can't. I have no idea. Who, like, my answer to that is like, who the hell knows?
Wow.
Yeah. So you're gonna say that on the back of one dominant performance versus Brentford, who's been a sieve lately for goals. Like they've basically like they just putting Raya to one side and then saying, here, this is where you should shoot. That's going to be our indicator.
So you're false.
I don't
just
know.
Just to be clear,
honestly, I don't know.
After all that,
look, I have Buendia on a team, and I still haven't dropped him against my better judgment. So
now you're about to be rewarded.
I would love for this to be true.
I'm in the same boat.
But I don't know that it is.
All right, let me give you my take.
Please.
I think it's true for some players, and I think it's false for most of them. So
right.
the negatives for everybody involved. Schedule the next 5 games is pretty brutal. You go to St. James's Park this weekend, then you have Man United, then you're at Brighton, then Liverpool, then Spurs.
Oh no. Okay.
Pretty tough the next 5 fixtures.
Yeah.
However, Unai Emery is coming in. Obviously, the post Stevie G bump already has been nice. You look at Unai's system. I think if you're trying to predict who benefits from that system and predict who is going to slot into those various roles, I think a few folks come out looking pretty good.
Okay.
I think usually he goes with a midfield 2, 1 a destroyer, 1 a bit more creative, and some license to get forward. I think the destroyer will be Kamara. He's almost fit again, so he might not make it this weekend, but I think next game he will. In the meantime, it might be McGinn, but I think long term he probably loses out. I think who benefits as the other midfield pairing, the one that gets forward a bit, is going to be Douglas Luiz, who has some set pieces, takes some corners, just signed a long-term new contract, is going to probably play that role to great aplomb, and he was available on the waiver wire this week. So he's one that I punted on when I've had the chance. And so I think he's going to benefit. I think it's time to buy him now. And then someone else I think is going to benefit is actually Leon Bailey, the right winger in Unai Emery's system. Tends to have free reign to go at defenders and to attack. And I think Bailey fits that mold really well. And so if he can stay fit and firing, I think he's got a big opportunity to really shine in this system. And Unai gets a lot of stick for being pragmatist, but I think there's more just in the cup competition. So he's obviously mastered the Europa game, having won it, I think 4 times with 3 different teams. So I think he's a pragmatist in Europe, and those one-off games he can do a job. But in general, he's a pretty attacking manager. I mean, I remember a lot of Arsenal games winning like 4-3. So like,
sure,
he doesn't mind, going for it. So I think those two will be pretty valuable moving forward, and I think they're easy to get right now. So that's a pretty good combination. I think Buendia has the opportunity to be that other kind of midfielder that's on the left, but floats in the middle. And then I think he'll stick probably with Ings and Watkins up top. So,
and he runs kind of a 4-3-3, or is it more
it's
like a
4-2-3-1 really?
Okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting system. I'll send you a good video on it. But I don't really like any of the defenders, even though they're decent in his system.
No, they're still going to leak goals, right?
Yeah. So I'm not really that hyped about them. However, Digne will probably benefit from going forward a bit more. Plus, he's going to be fit again soon. So he's somebody I'm keeping an eye out. But yeah, like I said, I think Bailey and Luiz are primed to benefit, and they're on the cheap for now. So those are the two that I think I'm ready to buy in on now. And yeah, I think Buendia will keep his role. I think McGinn and Coutinho are really going to be the big losers in this situation.
Okay, well, all right, hold on. So if you think that Digne comes good, now's probably the time to get him, right? I mean, he had 1 versus Arsenal, 2 versus City, and then 10.75 with a clean sheet versus Southampton.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, again, in September, but still. His form has been terrible, and then with the injury and everything, and just like, yeah, what are you getting him now, or are you kind of wait a little bit?
I could see the argument for trying to get him in now. I'm just not that bothered by it. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to think about what it would take to get him, but yeah, he's not someone I'm clamoring for right now, but I think ultimately he will benefit. So, and now would be the time to get him. It seems like he's almost over the injury. I think he might be able to make the bench as early as this weekend. So, yeah, if you want to get him, now is certainly the time.
Now, people are gonna. I mean, I don't think you mentioned Coutinho. People are gonna wonder.
No, I said the two that I think will be losers in this whole scenario is Coutinho and McGinn.
Oh, got you. Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay.
Jacob Ramsey is one of those ones that's really up in the air. Emery could like him, could not. I think he'll battle Buendia for that floating midfield role.
Yeah. All right. How are you as like a closet Villa fan? How are you liking? I mean, obviously with the Arsenal connection, but also, I mean, it feels like a coup to fire such a I don't want to say prestigious manager, but like one with such name recognition, and then be able to get Unai Emery in. Like, I'm pretty excited to see what happens here.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good appointment. I think it's probably the best they could have gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's won 4 Europa League titles. He took tiny Villarreal to the semifinals of the Champions League.
Hell yeah.
He was very close to bringing Arsenal back to the Champions League, despite having the language barrier and having issues here in the Prem. So, yeah, rate him pretty highly as a manager, and for him to leave a pretty good situation in Villarreal to go to mid-table Premier League club is quite a coup, like you said.
I mean, the money's there, but
yeah, of course. I mean, I think he's going to go like $7 million a year.
Is that what it is? I didn't see. That's hilarious.
It's ridiculous, but yeah, money talks. But
I'm excited to see it, man.
Yeah, as we kind of talked about in our private chats, like the good evening nonsense, like it pisses me off to no end. And yeah, this week with all the memes and everything else, it's just like, I hope this time they cut this guy some slack. Like, he's legit trying to be polite, and he speaks 4 languages, and he's still pretty good at English, and to mock him for that is just, I think, beyond reproach. But
yeah,
I'll get off my soapbox real quick.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That makes complete sense. No, I'm just excited to see like him back on the sidelines and his gesticulations and his facial expressions.
He kicks every ball. For sure.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. Okay, cool. Well, yeah. So you're a mixed bag. I think I am too. Like, I'm nervously gonna say that I want to agree. But yeah, like okay. Here, let's liken it to Potter at Chelsea. So when he came in, fantasy managers, wanted to go ahead and grab as many Chelsea assets as they could. Obviously, Villa don't have kind of like the name recognition type guys who are just sitting on the bench, because you can do that when you have a lot of money. So I guess the question is, like, which of these guys would you grab if they're out there, and which of them are you going to let chill? Like you just said, Jacob Ramsey, you're not really interested, right?
No, he's someone I'm keeping an eye on to see if he gets the nod from Emery. But
Dougie Lou, you're interested?
Yeah, Douglas Luiz, Leon Bailey, and I think you probably stick with Ings and Watkins if you have them, as well as Buendia.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. All right. Nice. I was just trying to see. 1 second. Leon Bailey is only 57% rostered.
Yeah, you'd have to get him in a trade.
You
But
could get him from
Douglas
Ari,
Luiz
who
was-
played him against me last week. So that's another beer that you owe me, Ari.
Oh wow, yeah. Never mind. He does.
We're starting to
Urge and
stack
Bears.
up. We're starting to stack
my
up.
God, savage. No
Um,
shame.
I know. Honestly, and to a friend, he did that to a friend.
Yeah, I know. Imagine what he does to his enemies.
Is it right? Oh man. All right. Let's move right along. So we've got a few candidates this week on our last straw segment.
But okay, but that's the last straw.
So whereas the previous one is like a Saved by the Bell, this one is more of like a beach
Surfer.
vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, Moondoggy 1950s cut. Yeah.
Right. Which I love. I can't get enough of it. That's great.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, last straw. So these are players that like we're almost done with. Like you're not probably cutting them, are you? Question mark. Right? Like we're almost there. We are almost there. So, Ryan, hit me with your last straw candidates.
Okay. First one, against my better judgment, any other time or place, I would have already cut him. But for some reason, I've held on to him. But this weekend is legit the last straw. If he doesn't start, I'm done. Mikel Damsgaard.
Yeah.
Obviously came to Brentford amid fanfare, had weird arthritic injury absences the last few years in Italy, but was, I think, Brentford's record signing this summer. Good ghost points, was supposedly a very creative player. Frank took his time with him, but then he got his first and subsequently only start, dropped 9 ghosties in I think 57 minutes or something like that. So got my tail wagging a bit. So I'm pretty hyped about him. Hasn't started since.
Mm-hmm.
Had a brief cameo against Arsenal where he had, I think, 8 ghost points in like 20 minutes. So like those 2 cameos have just, kept me going and prevented me from dropping him, because I just think he's shown that if he gets the opportunities, he can ghost fairly well. And so I don't want to drop him and then someone else pick him up when he finally, gets a run of games. And like I said, he's shown what he can do ghost point wise. So that's why I haven't dropped him yet. But I mean, I don't have time for this shit. If he doesn't start this weekend after like all of this succession of games, then I'm done.
I loved that I saw the 2 players that they're the first 2 players that you added, because there's a bit of a story here. I dropped Damsgaard today, before I saw that you had him on this segment, and I dropped him for Kieran Tierney.
Okay,
and I was fine with it.
Yeah. No, like I said, any other time I would have dropped him already.
I know.
I don't think that's a bad move by any means, but I had the room and I want to give him one more chance.
Did you see Frank's most recent comments? I did a whole post about it because I was pissed. But did you see his most recent comments about Damsgaard?
He basically said he didn't like the matchup
against Brighton.
Yeah, but then the next game he didn't start him either.
It says he's recovering from a long-term injury. Then he goes on to say his fitness is where we want it to be. Brighton just wasn't the right type of game for him. But then, importantly to me, he talks about how he has a promising future at the club.
Exactly. So it keeps me hooked just enough.
Yeah, I mean,
gives me that little tidbit.
He's 22. He's 22. I think that Frank sees him as one for the future.
Yeah, you could take it one of 2 ways. Yeah, I took
Right.
it as more near term, but yeah,
Okay.
I could see that. But yeah, like I said, regardless of what the hell Frank means,
Right.
he's gone this weekend if he's not starting.
Yeah, agreed. This is the same conversation we had around Buendia, and then look what happened. So maybe I could be completely wrong about this.
Yeah, thankfully I was able to get Buendia before all of this happened. But
Yeah.
yeah, you could have made the same exact argument.
All right. What's your next one?
The other promising midfielder burning a hole in my roster is Harry Wilson, who cost me a game week last week. with his was it 0.5 or negative 0.5? I can't remember.
Does it really matter? It was negative 0.5. It was negative.
Oh yeah, he did get that one
62
dispossession.
minutes.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, picked him up after all this fluff that Draft Lad has been serving us with. And finally gets a nod. I wasn't expecting it. I wish it wouldn't have happened, but yeah, forced my hand. I mean, how many times do I and everybody else need to be given the lesson of never start someone their first start back from a very long way off?
Right.
Like it's so simple. Pinnock and Wilson, like just don't do it. Give them at least a week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hope springs eternal. Like I said, I've been holding him for weeks now. Didn't expect him back before the end of the World Cup, so it's just like, okay, this is good progress, just him starting. But long term, does Andreas Pereira take his set pieces and thus his ghost point floor? And is he able to carve out a nailed on spot in the midfield, despite being, their talisman last season in the championship? So long story short, I'm holding for now. I don't think this game week or next will dictate that. I think I'm in it for the long haul. I want to see what he does with fitness and with Wales at the World Cup.
Yeah.
He's going to be my one long-term lotto ticket that I hope just pans out unless I am given a lot of evidence otherwise.
Okay. So I was going to shout out Gavin's Sleepers 11 because for anybody who has not been paying attention, he has been just murdering it this year. Like his Sleepers 11 consistently scores more points than my team, the one that I actually drafted. He's just been doing such an incredible job. And I looked at that this week, Ryan, and I started thinking about Harry Wilson, who is also on my roster. And I mean, you and I haven't seen you for months, but somehow we have this connection. I feel like our rosters are very similar, and I'm not quite sure why that's true. But
our benches seem similar.
Yeah, that's true. So when you look at the midfield options that Gavin's touting this week, I'd love to know if you would consider dropping Harry Wilson for Stuart Armstrong.
No.
Okay, 13% rostered. What about Emiliano Buendia?
Yes.
You would for that. 55% rostered Buendia. Yeah. Okay. What about 53% rostered Casemiro?
No.
No, you would not. Okay. Risky one, in my opinion, but Gavin loves to go out on a limb. Jordan Henderson, 25%.
No, because he's ultimately a streamer. I like streaming him this weekend, but
sure.
No, like I said, I like Wilson more of as a medium long-term play.
All right. And last one. This is the one that I literally dropped Wilson for this morning.
Him and Damsgaard got to
no!
today.
This is why it's amazing that you wrote these two names at 8:14.
Yeah, and I'm holding, and you're both. You're getting rid of both.
At 8:14 a.m., I dropped Harry Wilson for Mateus Nunes.
Oh wow, interesting. No, I like Wilson there. I love Nunes as a player.
Yeah, scored 8 last week
it to me.
in a 4-0 loss.
Okay. I mean, yeah. You could have gotten Moutinho, who's been dropping double-digit ghosts the last 2 weeks, and drubbings as well.
True. Yeah, he has 10 plus in 2 of his last 4.
Yeah, man.
Not bad.
Yeah, I picked him
Okay.
up.
Well, I made the decision, but you're sticking with, so that's fine. We got a little bit of a split. I like that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they go. Yeah, this is predicated upon me having thankfully the room for them, but yeah, there comes a point where you don't have the room because you're not benefiting from this, so it's better to have the roster spot. So we'll see. Damsgaard has a shorter leash than Wilson.
Oh, sure. On these teams though, like who are your starting midfielders?
Hold on. Let me pull that
Just
up.
curious, because like maybe listeners will be wondering. You know, we said that these guys are kind of like on our bench, and they're sort of like stashes, right? For just to see if they come good. Somebody like a Nunez. That's why I think I could potentially even stream him if I needed to. But you know, this is a league in which I already have De Bruyne, I already have Foden, Odegaard, right? So I'm not super worried about this particular situation. I mean, if you're gonna try to depend on any of these guys, which Lord, I hope you're not. But
Yeah, no, I have in the league I have Damsgaard and Wilson. I have KDB, Eze, Odegaard, and Damsgaard, Douglas Luiz, and Harry Wilson.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about these are almost.
That's why
like,
I have the room.
Yeah, like almost like lottery tickets, in a way.
Exactly.
Guys, you're hoping are going to come good. Okay.
Yeah, but not ones I'm obviously depending on week in, week out.
Yeah.
Because you'd be screwed if you did.
Right. Okay. Cool. And if you need that spot, I mean, again, don't.
Yeah, if it's between me losing a game week and dropping
Exactly.
Damsgaard or Harry Wilson, it's not a question.
Right. Don't hem yourself up. Don't like put yourself in a corner where you're going to hold on to Harry Wilson for the hope of 5 game weeks from now. Like, drop him.
Yeah, the only reason I have both of them still is because I've had the luxury of being able to not be in that position yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I stress yet because it's that day is coming. Judgment Day is coming.
All right. Finally, for you, we're back to defenders.
Oh God, yeah. So speak of the devil. All of these guys are last straw. I did get rid of one of them, like I said. So Dan Burn, Joakim Anderson, and Liam Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
3 Ghost Point gods from yesteryear.
That's the key.
Dan Burn has had flashes of that, but he's been shifted out to left back, and the ghosts are nowhere to be found. Like I said, he's still like a top 15 defender, but I got so frustrated that I dropped him this week. And like people were clamoring to pick him up. I like wish I would have known that, or else I would have tried to trot him out for at least a few fab, but I got so frustrated by what I saw that I dropped him. And yeah, Joakim Anderson has shown great flashes of brilliance during that really tough stretch for Palace. And so you think with this easy run of fixtures that he's going to continue ghosting plus add some clean sheets.
Nope.
It's been the complete opposite. He dropped a 1-pointer last week, and it took all of my strength and willpower not to just drop him there on principle, but I'm giving him another shot.
That was his second 1-pointer in a row.
Yeah.
He had one against Wolves as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then one against Everton.
Yeah, he's either 22 or 1 these days.
Right.
But he's still, I think, 8.5 or so ghost points per start. So I think he's dining out on his early performances a bit on that stat. But yeah, I'm very close to dropping him. So this weekend will dictate that. So he's legit last straw contender.
Mm-hmm.
Liam Cooper only ghosts out when he comes off the substitute bench.
It's because he knows. It's because he knows you didn't start him.
Seriously, had a great performance off the bench. I think 13 ghosties in like 15 minutes, something nuts like that. But has really had trouble putting together consistent performances starting. He's coming back from long-term injury, fair enough. So I'm holding him, but he's really close to just getting dropped. So like I said, I'm so glad that I got in what on paper, at least for now, look like 2 proper set and forget defenders, and Trent and Fabian Schär, which I can't believe I'm saying that. So that I don't have to deal with these fucking 3.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, okay, as far as Anderson's concerned, I also parted with him this week, and
you are ruthless, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it from him recently, and I don't know that it's coming back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This Palace team doesn't look very good, to be
No, they
completely
don't.
honest. We talked about them weeks ago when we were all hyped for this run of fixtures that they have. And it trust me, I mean, the run of fixtures is still juicy at this point. Like, they're in the middle of it at this point. But almost none of their players have really performed to the level we were hoping for.
Other than Eze, who's been
right,
ice cold. I love him.
Yeah, exactly. But shout out to like Zaha managers who just are pulling their hair out right now. Aside from that, the last week where he got like 22 or something. But other than that, it's been feast or famine, and mostly famine. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, as far as like Anderson's concerned, would you drop him for like a Pinnock?
No.
What about Salisu?
No.
Interesting. Salisu versus Crystal Palace. I think I might do it.
I mean, I think they're both, him and Pinnock, are decent shouts for streamers this week, but I still just have the faintest of hope that Anderson will still be more of a long-term play. But yeah, that depends on him actually showing me something to hold on to this weekend.
Okay.
Who did you drop Anderson for today?
Salisu.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Would you drop him for Tierney?
No.
Okay. Interesting. All right, so you're holding the faith.
Yeah, for now.
All right.
Like I said, the expiration date is coming.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, Jeannie put a few in here. We're not going to probably talk about all of them, but I do want to mention one. And you know, we hate to like toot our own horn here, but
Sure.
we haven't really mentioned Aubameyang in any of our last, like, I mean, how many shows that we've done, and it is probably time to revisit our friend Aubameyang, right? Like in the Premier League. And now, Champions League aside, we're talking just in the Premier League. He's got the game that he played 57 minutes against Villa. Did he start that?
Yes.
Okay, then he has 3 starts. 14, 1.5, and 3.
Classic.
This is what isn't this what we warn people about? This is exactly what we warn people about.
This is him. Yeah, this is him. This was him at his peak. He was extremely goal dependent. It was just like you'd have more like a few more 14s and 24s when he'd get a brace mixed in with the 1s and 3s, but he does nothing other than potentially score goals. And when he's not scoring goals, which obviously he's not right now, and Chelsea isn't really scoring many either, he's useless.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is just who he is as a fantasy asset.
You're not dropping him though.
No, he's just one of those guys that has the name recognition where it's like,
exactly,
unless a Ronaldo type situation happens where he's banished from the squad, which may happen given his track record. But otherwise, yeah, you're holding. But man, if you put yourself in the position to get him, then yeah, that's on you.
Would you trade him for Leon Bailey?
Yes, 100%.
Wow. Okay. What about?
I would snatch your hand off for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What about? Oh man, and that rules out a lot because I thought that was low ball.
Yeah, I mean, normally like 3 weeks ago, Leon Bailey benched and not doing shit. Yeah, but now that I think he's going to be reinvigorated under Emery, yeah, no, that's a good play.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. What about Kai Havertz?
They're the exact same player.
And not recently, friend. Kai Havertz. Well, okay, hold on.
Let me guess. 1, 3, 15.
Okay, 2.5, 6.5, 13.
Oh, 6.5. Look at him.
Exactly. And those were ghosts in 45 minutes.
Useful.
Which means he got taken off in 45 minutes. But okay, regardless. Right?
No, they're very similar. Very good.
They are. You're right.
Dependent.
Who's worse? Like who's going to disappoint you more consistently?
Oh man. Well, at least Aubameyang seems to be nailed on.
Oh, yeah.
That too. Yeah. Probably Kai's probably more frustrating because not only is he super goal dependent, but he's rotated randomly.
Okay, a couple more. Aubameyang or Jamie Vardy?
Aubameyang.
Okay, that's interesting. Just because Vardy doesn't really start.
I think Vardy's on waiver wire in most places.
Let's see. He is, well, no, still 74% rostered.
That's name.
Yeah.
Anybody, if he's Jamie Vasivicus, he's on the wire.
Okay, this is a player that is largely available right now, but not in leagues that we play in, unfortunately. But if you are in a league where this player is already rostered, would you trade Aubameyang for Willian?
Yes.
Oh, yes. There it is. That puts a bow on it.
No, Willian's been in fuego.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's been good. Before we move on from those, did you want to talk about any of Sancho, Grealish, or Perisic?
Not really, because they're tricky because they're not as straightforward as the other ones we were talking about, where it's like straight keep or drop. Those are, you can't drop them, so you'd have to try and sort out some trades. I definitely get the frustration and the need to get rid of them. I think Sancho is probably the worst of the bunch there in terms of wanting to get rid of him. Some people still think Perisic is returning 4th round value. I don't know what to say to those folks, but Grealish is only a part of a city stack, nothing more.
Yeah. Okay.
And Sterling has been underwhelming, but Chelsea's just been very meh across the board.
Well, we know Genie hates Sterling. I skipped that one because I still have faith, but I mean, let it be known that after loving Sterling in week 1, which everyone did, Genie did make a gut call then after that and said he was completely out on him, and even dropped him to the waiver wire, which in hindsight,
he ended up doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, I love it.
He sure did.
He always talks about throwing that grenade out into the wire,
man.
and I'm glad he actually pulled the pin this time.
Yeah.
Anybody's spot on.
Yeah. If anybody's curious, Genie ran a league this year where he drafted only backup goalkeepers, and his team, then he dropped everyone, and his team had to be made up entirely of waiver wire ads. He calls it free agent FC, so FAFC. But if you're curious on how that's going, check in with Genie because he loves to talk about it. But his theory is that the league is not won at the draft, and in fact, a manager could just be active in the waiver wire all year and win their league. I don't know that he's in the upper echelon of that league at the moment.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think he thinks that you can totally win the league. I think he's correct in this assumption that if you can get mid-table or even top 4 or 5 with just free agents, and that says a lot, and that's very impressive. So yeah, it must be a fun league. Very taxing because your
seriously
team is literally dependent on the wire almost every week. So yeah, that's a lot.
Well, did you see Drafter Thoughts comment today in our group chat where I was talking about just not having as much time this year with teaching and all the things, and he said that, and I mean he's done the math, he does the numbers. He said that the number one indicator of success in a league is number of days active in Fantrax. So the number of days you log in and actually look at your team, do the work, that is your number one indicator of whether or not you'll be successful.
Yeah, that makes sense. Other than the folks that randomly drafted Holland and think that's the name of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious now that we're almost like a quarter of the way done or whatever, third, to go through and kind of like go round by round and figure out who the absolute best pick in that round would have been, and what your what your dream team could have been.
Be tragic.
Yeah, maybe on a future episode during an international break.
Definitely seared in my mind a couple of the opportunities there.
Oh, the players you glossed over that you you took this person over that person and just everybody who took Riyad Mahrez.
Man. Yeah, and I also think about the ones where it could have gone worse. Like I was,
of course,
all of the stats and rankings had me dictated that I should take Robertson at a particular spot, and thank God that I didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so okay, this is another thing I was going to mention earlier too. So this is the year where everybody said, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying like this is the year where, and I think we agree with them, but like everybody said, okay, it's good to see defenders finally getting their come up. It's good to see defenders finally getting drafted, where they should be drafted. And here we are with the conundrum that we're in. Are people going to be scared off by that now?
Yeah, and the one where we thought might be a bit overrated, Trippier, turns out to be the best of the bunch. And it is one of those that should have been taken where Trent and some others and Robertson were taken. Yeah, it's nuts.
Granted,
this game has Trippier, a funny way of doing that.
Oh, of course. But Trippier still a solid, almost 30 points behind where Trent was last year. But that was also
but
Trent.
He was
in his
ungodly stretch.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, my two real quickly for the last straw, Bowen and Damari Gray. These are two players that I think different sides of the coin, right? Because Bowen, obviously, everybody was super hyped about. And after last year, it was like, man, you can't miss with this guy. To have him as your midfielder 2 is an absolute dream. Or if you want to go forward, then you could go Bowen potentially. And, oh, God, can you imagine? What a great team. And, of course, that's not been true. And Damari Gray is one of those guys where it's like, going into the draft, he'd done pretty well last year. And people sort of thought, is he going to lose his job? Does he have a nailed-on spot? Well, it turns out, yes, but he also sort of sucks lately. So these are my two guys.
Yeah, no, he's playing. He just sucks.
Right. So
different problem. Yeah.
Right. What do you make of these two?
Yeah, I mean, I had Bowen in my overrated draft kit article. Yeah, I thought he would revert to the mean a bit this season, and to be fair, he's had a couple games where he was the Bowen of last season.
Sure.
But for the most part, yeah, he's been that goal dependent, streaky, inconsistent guy. And yeah, West Ham just don't look that great overall. So if he's not, in attacking positions and scoring goals and nicking assists, he's not going to be a good fantasy asset because he's quite the conundrum in terms of the ghost point side of things. Because on paper, taking so many sets and being so involved, he should have a good ghost point floor, but he really doesn't score all that really well ghost points wise. And it's so odd. Because you have his colleague on the other side of the pitch, Aaron Cresswell, and man, everything he touches is fucking dead and has a sheet on.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a weird one, but yeah, I wasn't too high on him this season. Damari Gray, one of those guys that passes the eye test, looks pretty good on the pitch, and then you look at his score at the end of the game, and you're like, Jesus, 0.5. Like,
yep.
What the hell's going on?
Exactly.
Also has some sets, but yeah, just having a really shitty season. So yeah, I'd be close to dropping. I think Damari Gray is in droppable status. I mean, he's less than 7 PPG. That's streamer level.
Yeah.
93% rostered. Shit.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah.
I blame that squarely on Genie. He's talked about this kid for so long that people just think he's not droppable, but those numbers are very droppable.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, back to Bowen real quick because I found him on the Ghost Point Tracker, which we didn't mention this. Ghost Point Tracker also shows ghost points per start from last year, which is super helpful. Incredibly helpful because Bowen is one of those guys, and I'm sure you mentioned this, when you were sort of when you were slagging him off preseason. His 21-22 ghost points per start were 7.3, which for as prolific as he was last year that's pretty mediocre, right? And this year it's fallen even further to 6.2. And I just feel like that, unfortunately, especially with the form that West Ham are in, that when you look at a 2-0 victory against Bournemouth, he played 87 minutes and he scored 3 points.
Yeah,
what
he
are
probably
you
took
doing out
3
there?
or 4 corners.
Right. What are you doing on the pitch? What?
Yeah. He's one of those guys that can pop up next week with a brace, but you need to wait for that performance and trade him out on a high, I think, is the play here.
And those aforementioned scores that you've mentioned this year that he, that were solid, that were good, 16 and 29, came against Fulham and Wolves. So, the argument often leveled against Mount being a flat track bully, like, look at Bowen. He's had a miserable year.
Yeah, it's been tough.
It's curious. So shout out to he might be listening, King Arthur FC. We were trying to do some trading for Christian Eriksen, and I mentioned that I might be willing to take Bowen off his hands for Christian Eriksen. And he just doesn't see Bowen in the same light. He sees Bowen as like last year Bowen. I see him as this year Bowen.
I was going to say, if he's willing to get rid of one of his own, then something's wrong with that.
He's not.
That West Ham player. Okay,
he's
good.
He's not. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad I can count on some things.
Right.
Yeah. Stick to your guns, man.
Yeah. But it's interesting, right? Like this is precisely one of those players where it's like you are battling against this preconceived notion, but unfortunately we haven't seen it this year. We just haven't. And
yeah, sometimes it's just a different season. They're just not the same player.
Yeah.
And you got to adjust your expectations and perceptions.
Yeah. All right. Any other last straw contenders quick?
Nope.
I think we got them all. Well,
Yeah.
not all, but all the ones we had mentioned. All right. So Gameweek 14. Do you want to hit us with some streamers before we bid the listeners adieu? Yep.
I mean, I beat this horse to death, but Dougie Luiz, man, what a difference a week and a new manager appointment can do. I think he'll do bits. Like I said, they have a tough schedule, but he's one of those guys that can get both defensive and attacking stats. So he's, I guess, less matchup dependent than most mids. This is not to say that he's ever going to be a 10 PPG midfielder, but to get someone off the wire that can get you mid 3 potential is a pretty good thing. So I like him not only as a streamer but more of a longer term asset.
Yeah, 20% rostered.
You mentioned Henderson earlier, so one of these Liverpool mids will likely start. I can't even say will start, but likely start. And Leeds has been kind to opposition midfielders. So Henderson, Elliott, Jones, Milner. Any of them start, any of them available, pick them up. I'm going to keep an eye on that Spurs-Bournemouth game just to see if there are any potential streamers there.
There have been rumors, right?
Neto. Yeah, there are some interesting rumors. Don't know if I want to divulge.
No, fine. That's fine. We'll tell people to go ahead and just keep an eye on the Tottenham match.
Yeah, because Bournemouth lost their goalkeeper Neto, who's been great this season. Plus, they lost Solanke as well, so they're not going to be much use on either side of the pitch. But they do have Spurs at home, and anything can happen there. So, on paper, this should be a good one to stream Spurs. But yeah, they're still Spurs.
So you're not interested in Kiefer Moore?
No, suffice it to say. No.
Okay. All right.
Mention Damsgaard if he somehow miraculously gets a start. Take advantage of Joe's impatience and pick him up.
Nah, he'll be locked in that league.
Yeah, he'll be
fine.
firmly on the bench, and I'll be dropping him rather quickly. And then Arsenal defenders, you got to like their odds against Forest at home. But we'll see if that Gabriel Magalhaes injury is a worry, and then you can act accordingly. But those are some of my streamers for the week.
Genie likes a few United guys. He's already talked about Fred at length in our DMs. You promptly responded with a GIF that said, "Yeah, no thanks, I'm good." But Genie believes. So Fred, I mean, he has popped up for a random return here and there. So if people are interested,
I mean, I have my policy, so I
of course
legit can't take him. But if I didn't, then I would give him the due diligence he deserves, which is none.
Well, fair enough. And we've already mentioned several of these guys, but Casemiro, Moutinho, Willian, of course, largely available in most home leagues. So check those out. And then he also mentions Luke Shaw, who's still out there floating around in a lot of leagues. It's been almost a month, I think. Since,
Malacia hasn't gotten a start in ages.
Started. So
I'd be surprised if he's available, but who knows?
Yeah, let's check it out real quick. Luke Shaw. Let's see. He is 66% rostered now. He's up 10.6% in the last week. That's considerable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean he's doing decent, and he's got 10 plus in the last 3 weeks straight.
And they have a pretty good schedule on paper.
Right. Two of those were clean
especially
sheets,
for
but
defenders.
one was not, and he had an assist against Chelsea. So I mean, he's playing his pants off, and he's done this before. Whenever you see him have competition, he randomly just shows up and realizes he doesn't like McDonald's as much as he thought he did.
Yeah, the fat bastard wants to get on the England team too, right before the World Cup. So there you go.
Oh, I love him. I can't resist McDonald's either. It's fine. I get it. I understand.
I love him because he gives us normal people a shot. Like, he looks like me.
Exactly.
Maybe I could do it.
Exactly.
He looks worse than me.
I definitely could. And you could too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so.
We just need our shot, honestly. I'm almost 40, but I'm pretty confident that I can do this.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of, real quick, have you watched the Wrexham documentary?
Yeah. My fiance and I have gotten fairly into it the last few weeks,
right?
Although she's gone, so I haven't been able to catch up. But it's pretty good. I mean, mixed feelings because it's like such a promotion and marketing grab.
Yeah.
But it's certainly entertaining, and I think it's all of our dreams to just randomly be able to buy a pretty cool football club, get in the town's good graces, and give it a go. But
sure.
It's pretty good.
I mean, marketing certainly, but I do feel like legitimately, I feel
think
like
they have the best
genuinely
intentions.
care about the city. They care about the town.
Sure. 100%.
Yeah, but my point was, like, you see some of those players, right? And and it's like it's the National League, right?
Yeah, it's
is that
division.
What it is? Fifth Division National League, and you start to kind of think to yourself, like, how good are these guys really? Like, could I maybe? But no, absolutely not. No, these guys are still like fucking world class athletes. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, the level of talent throughout the English league.
So remember when I told you that I went to that really small club outside of London, and I got that executive package where they have the coach or the manager give you a team talk before the game, and then that's Bromley. So they're in that same division, and they're the ones that beat Wrexham in that cup final at Wembley. That's my squad.
Brutal. Yeah.
So that's the level. It's nuts.
Oh man. Yeah, and I mean
those games are a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, but people know from like the championship too. Like it's it's a grind that that the Premier League is not quite akin to, where it's like just game after game after game after game. It's relentless.
Yeah, and you're just taking buses
right
everywhere, and it's not as glamorous as as the
5,
upper
6, 7,
divisions.
8 hours at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wild. All right. Well, anything else, Ryan?
Nope.
All right.
I think I said my piece.
That's awesome. Well, it was good to get back on here with you, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a while.
I know.
I'm glad we were able to do this.
I missed it.
Yeah, I got one more as a bachelor. I think next week, and then,
Nice.
then I'm done.
Hell yeah. Beautiful. I mean, you're not done though.
No, I'm not done. I mean, my life is going to be over, but I'm not done.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but you're not done with the podcast. Like,
No.
just because your life's over, you're still going to be on.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
all right.
exactly. I'll need it more than ever.
Exactly. Right. There you go. All right, listeners. It's been fun. Thanks for sticking around. If you made it this far, God, you're the best. We love you guys. Community, we always say it, but as we get closer to the weekend, if you have start-sit conundrums, go ahead and add us on Twitter and start a survey, whatever you want. We'll retweet it and we'll get some more eyes on it, get some thoughts on it from the community. A lot of brilliant minds out there. So yeah, if you've got these questions, let us know. Please don't DM every single one of us separately. That's one of the things that is not great. But just go ahead and just post it on Twitter, and then we'll get it out there, and just hopefully everybody can see it. Even tweet you from the Draft Society account. Let's do this. All right. Again, been amazing. I'm so happy to be back. I almost don't want to end it, but we're going to anyway. Take care. We'll talk to everyone soon. Cheers.